Introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning. I'm Jake Mason. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Homebuilders Association here in Yakima.
Government Affairs Director. And who did you replace?
Right before me was, we kind of had a hybrid thing with Bob, who was the Executive Director and also the Government Affairs guy.
Yeah.
And then right before him, wonderful guy, older gentleman.
I can't grab his name right now either. That's who I was looking to give a shout out to. But I was hoping
Joe Walsh.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, we love
God.
Joe.
Yes, he's a great guy.
Was a great guy. He did a really good job. You got big shoes to fill, but you're doing the right thing by filling them by coming here. So good on you, man. This is Richard. I'm Dave, and I know we've been talking about, I think, what you want to talk about already today.
Oh, good.
It's been in the paper. You guys have radio ad support, and tell us your take on what the council is wrestling with.
Yeah, so the proposal is a 0.1% sales tax increase. So that is everything that you guys buy in the store except for food and some other necessities that have been exempted over the years. It sounds like a small bit, but when you really consider that we're adding this on top of a massive sales tax in Washington State already, we're adding that on top of B&O taxes that the home builders are paying. We're adding that on top of, all the other fees and work that they have to do to get a building permit. It's just that one bit more. And what we know about home pricing in particular is that even a small increase can disqualify folks from qualifying for a mortgage, right? So we talk about this a little bit in our, I think, Saturday soapbox piece in the Herald. My president, Tim Lovelace, pointed it out very well. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac don't care if you don't make, $100 below what you need to qualify for the mortgage or $1,000 below what you need to qualify for the mortgage. You don't get the mortgage. So this is going to be a huge impact to housing, which is exactly what they're claiming to try to fix. So we need a council to recognize that we need to make it easier to build houses, not harder.
I thought that was one of the interesting points of stuff that I have read, that the very industry that they're looking to backstop is really going to be impacted by this as well. Now, when you sit down and you say to yourself, well, it doesn't amount to that much individually each time. Well, it isn't as much as that as it is for me philosophically.
Yeah.
Whose job is this? Whose role is this? On the one hand, your moral self can say, it's not that much, and anything you can do can help, and it's good if you have that. But at some point, you also need to have logic and common sense kick in and not let emotion run the day. If you're a good conservative, I mean, you want to be a compassionate conservative, but at the same time, you want to be a reasonable conservative as well. Right. And for my way of thinking, especially at this stage, I mean, you guys you've held this seminar, or you're going to have one?
We have a couple things coming up. We have our candidate forum coming up on Tuesday night, so tomorrow night, with the Yakima County Commissioners. And then we're also holding a forum on the water utility in early October. So very busy. Yeah,
you are. So I guess the thing about this is, in your research on all of this, is there any sort of workable plan about how money would be spent or anything like that? This is just basically start raking it in and we'll figure it out as we go. Is that a fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And in talking with the council about this kind of stuff, we have the Housing Action Plan, which is really kind of an outline or guidance. We worked really closely with the council on putting that together. Top 3 priorities are deregulating and building more infrastructure or related issues. So really they haven't even given that plan a chance to start before they're already kind of jumping in on this tax. And so we really need to tell the council that, hey, get a plan together, get your thoughts together on this, make sure we know how we're going to spend this money. If they're going to spend the money, I'm of the thought, and I think you probably are too, that money will go a lot further staying in the private sector and staying with nonprofits in the area like Habitat for Humanity that have done incredible work. That dollar is going to go a lot further with them than it is building public housing.
Richard, you and I were talking earlier about the need for a plan before, cart before the horse here, right?
Absolutely. Sure. You go to the bank for a business loan, they're going to want to know what your plan is, so they're not going to lend you the money. And of course, this is a habit in government. What is it that Nancy Pelosi said? We need to pass it.
Pass it before we can know what's in it.
Know what's in it. Yes, exactly. That's right. So there ought to be some kind of a plan. But in your mind, what is the problem with affordable housing? And is it cyclical? In other words, what if we did ramp up building a bunch of affordable housing and nobody needed it? You know, I mean, where are we on that?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And let me just here's one more thing to consider as you do that. Are we looking to get homeless off the streets and in, or are we looking to find different kind of housing for just folks at the low end of
people that are struggling to afford what they have?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of the work that we've been doing in the city council has been focused on what we call innovative housing types. Right. Those are things like accessory dwelling units, little like mother-in-law cottages, or cottage housing is what we're working on right now with the Planning Commission, which is another word for tiny homes, right? So there's a lot of options that can be new builds in Yakima City that are affordable to folks. What a lot of the focus needs to be in Yakima City is we've been underbuilt for so long. Our population growth has greatly outstripped our per unit housing growth. So what we need to see is more housing built at all levels, so that folks that are living in those one bedrooms and studios, they can move into a 2-bedroom or a condo, or they can start their home ownership journey. That's what's going to free up the inventory on the lower end where folks really need it, where that inventory is full up of people who, if they had the option, would live somewhere else. So those are the things you need to be doing, and you accomplish a lot of the same things there, right? You're opening up housing to people who want it, and you're also getting folks off the street because now that 1-bedroom or that studio is available, and rent prices are going to stabilize.
As a free market guy, obviously, if there is a lot of money to be made in lower end affordable housing, you guys would be knocking that stuff out, right? I mean, I went to tour homes this weekend, and my favorite was the $1.1 million home out west of town. So, does it a money making deal to do lower, or average income housing? What should an apartment cost in a town like Yakima? What should I have to pay?
Yeah. And like I said, the goal of new construction isn't necessarily, it absolutely can include kind of building those new affordable types that we've talked about, the cottage housing and things like that. ADUs are a great secondary income stream for a lot of folks, and that would open up a lot more kind of lower end, small dollar rentals. But the goal of building and the pressure we're experiencing here in Yakima is at all levels, right? So if we release that pressure for the folks who can buy that $1.1 million home, they're moving out of a $750,000 home. Right. And the folks that want that $750,000 home are moving out of a $500,000 home. So the idea is, and we know this, right, that we have not been building as much as we've been growing, that if we can relieve that pressure in the housing system, that'll open up those lower income units. With regulation the way it is right now, zoning, land prices, all those kinds of things, building something affordable and accessible is a much harder proposition than building something that'll release kind of.
Is there anything in local, charter city government's purview that can make a difference on any of those factors?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we've been working with the city council, and this is one of the most frustrating things about this whole tax, is that they're really jumping the gun. They haven't let a lot of the free market solutions that we've brought to them kind of be implemented yet. There's a bunch of work that needs to be done that's barely passed, is barely effective. Like within the last few months, we really just got our cottage housing stuff going. This is a long-term problem that does not have a short-term solution, right. And that's what they're looking for.
And maybe a grab for $2 million a year seems like that. At least we can say we're doing something.
We can stand in front of something and cut a ribbon.
Yeah, no kidding. Which, when I was on council, I refused to do, quite frankly, to be honest with you. All right, so how can people... Look, this is the kind of thing that really I think should go to the public. They'd have to make a case to the public and then go for that. But that's not what this is going to be, isn't it? Aren't they looking at doing this just for the straight resolution?
So the law changed a couple years ago. It used to be that this tax could only be passed by a vote of the people, and then the state legislature changed the law on this so that it can be passed councilmatically or by the city council rather than going to a vote. We really need to push this out to the people. I think people acknowledge that we have an affordable housing problem in Yakima, and I think folks want to help. The question is how do we want to do that? Exactly.
Where we would get the most for our $2 million, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
you're mirroring our philosophy. We're not against stuff in concept. What's the best way, the right way to do it? We pay 0.3% of sales tax for law enforcement. This weekend I was out at the range for the barbecue with the cops, and great event, wonderful people, talked to a lot of cops and the sheriff and others. and some delicious pulled pork. But the point being, that 3/10 goes to cover everybody.
Right.
We're all covered by the law enforcement help that we get. Here's another 10th that's going to go to just a sliver of the population. And if we're doing that and we're putting it, I mean, the 3/10 is on the ballot. Mm-hmm. We get to say on that. Mm-hmm. So another 10th for a lesser degree of coverage for people in a different venue, maybe that ought to be on the ballot as well if we're going to go that route. So